all you new folks here, this is the Amen corner over here. I haven't figured that out yet. Every church has got to have a little Amen corner, so we got one right here. Wow. Is everybody warmed up now? Yeah, me too. I'm busting a sweat up here. Jeez. All right, Stevie.
Yeah. Been quite an interesting morning. I knew Ronnie was coming here today, but I figured I'd surprise you guys, so I didn't tell you anything about him coming. And then I got a surprise this morning. Adkins got the flu, so she's not coming, and the lecturer's got the flu, and she's not coming. So you get the Brian and Steve show, like this whole church started like that for months and months and months. I was on the pulpit, and Ronnie was on the guitar, so you get to see how the church started. It's kind of nice. That's how God and Spirit wanted it, and that's what happened today. I'd like you to silence your cell phones unless you're medical or law enforcement personnel. And there's cold drinks in the refrigerator in the back, coffee and donuts on the table, restrooms down the hall, quick right, quick left. You can help yourself to any of those at any time during the service. I'd like to have Joan light the candles, symbolizing unity of body, mind, and spirit, since she hadn't been here in a while. Put it right up here in front of everybody. Just squeeze it. No safety. Mine's not one to light. All right, thank you. Please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the first hymn.
I think it's hymn number 11 in your little handout. That's the one. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got joy like a mountain. I've got joy like a mountain. I've got joy like a mountain in my soul. I've got joy like a mountain. I've got joy like a mountain. I've got joy like a mountain in my soul. And I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul.
The next portion is a thought for the day from the pastor. Kind of odd because my thought for the day ended up being my lecture for the day. Just going to have to ad-lib it a little bit here. I guess something that's really been coming home to me, and as a lot of you know, I'm living in a house by myself, and me and my wife are not getting divorced or separated. It's just a matter of convenience at this time for her daughter and my son. I can't be around her daughter for more than a week, and she can't be around my son for about more than a week. So we kind of, and they both need our help at this time for a couple months. So we're kind of doing a thing like that. But it's interesting because, we still have our date nights and and when we see each other, it's kind of like in the beginning when we're really excited to see each other, and it's new, it's not, oh, it's Saturday night, we have to go out. You look forward to that Saturday night through the week and really enjoy it when it happens. So it's good for that. Also, there's a lot of quiet time. A lot of quiet time to sit around and think. And a lot of what's been coming to me as I quiet down and tune out the noise of the world around me is that I'm coming back to my spiritual connection. We all are connected to spirit, whether we are conscious of it or not, but the conscious connection of it is what counts. Being aware in your mind of that connection to God. And that's what's coming back to me is my awareness of it, my intimacy with that part of my life, which is very nice because I really loved it in the beginning. I was very excited about it. And as you move, I've been doing this particular path for about 25 years. And through the years, I've moved from a student and acolyte into a teacher and an organizer. And when you do that, you tend to lose some of that excitement about going somewhere and doing something instead. Now you're the one that's doing what people come to see. So you lose some of that. And the quiet time has allowed me to move back into it. The healings that I'm doing are becoming much more intimate, like they used to be, very physical in their responses to people's illnesses, which is very nice. And I guess my thought for the day is that, and it's going to be part of the lecture too, is to just take time, tune out. In the 60s, it used to be tune in and drop out. Now it's drop out and tune in. So it's the opposite. And it's not drugs, it's strictly being quiet and feeling that true presence of God around you. And it changes how you act to the world around you. I'm less irritated by things. I am less confrontational with things. And there's still that urge that wants to make me step up and be confrontational, step up and be engaged in a competitive fashion. But now it's tempered with an awareness of God. So you have to have that guidance, that momentary connection of all aspects with your life. And that's brought me a reasonable amount of peace. And for me, that's acceptable, a reasonable amount of peace. Because I'm still human, I'm still in a body of flesh, and I'm still going to be human at times. And I forgive myself for being that way. So take time this coming year to think about that. Re-engage in an intimate connection with God, a true partnership with God and Spirit, and that constant, unceasing communication that comes from that source. It's unending, it's not as you need it, it is constant, without fail. So think of these things in the coming year. The portion of the service is the healing portion. Hey, right? Good to see you, man. I'd like to have Judy and Ann do the healings this morning. The way this works is as the healing service goes on, you'll hear this sound here. That means the healing chairs become vacant. Linda, can you work that part of it? Also check the camera, it's been turning itself on and off. So you can sit in the back. Usually when the chime happens, the chairs in the very back are vacant. You sit there and she will guide you around. If there's an open chair for healing, sit in it. If not, sit in the back. And Linda will guide you around when it begins. Please start the service by reading the Prayer for Spiritual Healing on the back of the hymnal. It's in bold on the very back of the yellow hymnal. I ask the great unseen healing force to remove all obstructions from my mind and body and to restore me to perfect health. I ask this in all sincerity and honesty, and I will do my part. I ask this great unseen healing force to help both present and absent ones who are in need of help, and to restore them to perfect health. I put my trust in the love and power of God. We'll all participate in guided meditation now. And I will play the accompaniment. I'd ask you to find a comfortable place and just begin to find that calmness within you that the natural attitude brings of feeling yourself, putting the attention on your own mind and your own body, and just beginning to feel that calmness of natural breathing within your body, rhythmic, normal breathing. As you feel that normal rhythmic breathing in and out, it begins to present a more calm, a gentleness as you pay attention to this. This rhythmic breathing is the rhythm of life within you. And as you pay attention to this rhythm of life, you begin to calm and silence the outside of emotion, of activity, and just feel that sense of emotion within your life silencing and going away. As you pay attention to this vibration of life within you, you begin to feel the pulsing and movement of it, the gentleness of it, the comfort of it, breathing and relaxing. As you find this calmness and this peace, it begins to spread throughout your body, from head to toe, gently and easily, being enhanced with every breath. And as you feel this breath, you begin to feel it as the breath of life, God's promise of life renewed moment by moment, breath by breath. As you feel this spiritual purpose to your very breath, you begin to feel that connection and love of God within you that's connected to this breath, moment by moment, breath by breath. As you begin to feel more lightened, I ask you to feel that connection at the top of your head. Feel that connection from God's mind to your mind. As you feel this connection that is always there, only our awareness of it causes it, our mind to ebb and flow. You feel that upward lifting, feeling yourself drawn up into the mind of God. As you feel yourself being drawn up into the mind of God, you see yourself as a thought in the mind of God. As you see this creative thought in the mind of God about you, you realize that only perfectly harmonious and perfectly balanced thoughts can exist in the mind of God. And you feel that thought that God has about you, and it flows down into you, this sense of perfect harmony and perfect balance. And as you feel that awareness of perfect harmony and perfect balance, you feel yourself beginning to be connected to all others within creation. You begin to feel yourself in this sea of life. As you feel yourself in this sea of life and creation, you feel yourself seeing all of eternity, all that was before, all that is coming after. And as you look down the sea of life to that which came before, you see all of those who made choices, sacrifices, and commitments that allowed you to be where you are at now. Known and unknown to you, all are part of God's plan for you. You feel this infinite caring from before you were born to present. You feel that total carrying the movement of the hand of God through your life up to this point. As you feel that comforting movement, you also feel, again, the commitment and sacrifice of those that came before you, and honor that which is before you now. As you honor that which is before you now, you feel a renewed hope for that which you are engaged in. You feel God's purpose within it. Whether you know the purpose or not, you know that God's purpose is there by the history of your life, by the history of the sea of creation. It does not lie. It does not deceive. It is there. As you feel that sureness and happiness, I ask you now to turn your mind's eye to that and those that have passed over that you know. Take a moment to bring them into your mind's eye, into the sea of creation. Feel the love that you had for them. Feel the hope that you have for them of being in a better place. Know that they are in a better place at this time and can still be seen and heard in moments like these. As you feel that connection to those that have passed over, this is a moment to say to them something that what you were unable to say at the time they passed. Think thoughts to them that you wished you had been able to say or wished you had said. As you think these thoughts to these ones on the other side of life, you see that message touching them and reaching them and their acknowledgement of it. You breathe in this completion of the circle of life with this one. Feel a freedom. Feel a newness and healing within this thought. As we begin to move away from these loved ones, you bring into your mind's eye now those that are here, that are at a distance, either emotionally or physically, and you send them healing thoughts from this group of energy that you are in, knowing that it is without limit the possibilities that can occur, bringing them into your mind's eye one at a time, feeling that completion again with the Spirit of God. As you feel that healing sending its distance, moving its path, you are now moved. Begin to feel your own spiritual power. You ask now for that power, healing, and comfort to flow into your mind, over your body, feeling the grace of God within you, feeling it fully embodied within you. You feel as if you've stepped out of a roaring torrent of wind into a completely quiet room. This is God at rest. The true nature of God can be seen here within you and within this quiet. Breathing in that true power, the quietness and peace of eternity and God's love. This is the healing for all. This is the answer for all. This answers all questions, puts all into perspective, without thought, just the knowingness of this true power of God within you, puts the rightness to things around you. It requires no explanation, requires no judgment. It just is a living force within you. This is how we feel it, a living force. As we feel that force moving through us, with us, and around us, we feel ourselves changed in this moment, allowing ourselves to be a new being with new inspirations, regardless of where we've been, what we've done up to this point. Any mistakes or transgressions we can let go of. Be who you want to be. Be who you are inspired to be from this moment forward. Each moment is a new moment in your life. And the only moment that matters is now. What you do now, what you think now, and how you love now. As you feel this awareness and this newness, you feel yourself being reunited with the eternal you. You feel that light and hope, reintegration of you as the spirit, you as the earthly being, all as one, as intended at the point of birth with you here now. Feel that wonderful upliftment of energy. Requires no explanation and no judgment, only an openness to feel it in your hearts, in your minds, and in your very souls of your eternal beings. Breathing, feeling that love, allowing it to caress you, to uplift you, to bring happiness and peace to you in this moment. Allowing yourself to be this peace and happiness. Gently breathing now, feeling yourself moving back to the here and now, giving thanks to God for this moment of intimacy, giving thanks to those around you that have gone before you, feeling an honor for the life that you have before you now. As you gently come back, there is no need to let go of this higher mindedness. Slowly reintegrate the senses with the higher mind. You can view the world through both. Breathing gently, holding that purpose, holding that hope, holding that knowingness of something better. As we gently come back, just sit quietly and honor the final healings as they go on. We'll end this portion of the service with an inspirational reading. Build your life on the firm foundation of true gratitude to God for all His blessings and true humility. Build the framework of your life out of self-discipline. Never let yourself get selfish or lazy or contented with yourself. Build the walls of your life out of service to others, helping them find life, helping them find the roof of your life. Build the roof of your life out of prayer and quiet times, waiting for God's guidance from above. Please stand for the next hymn. Next portion is the inspirational lecture. And today I am going to be the lecturer. I wasn't scheduled to be, but I always love the purpose and opportunity to serve Spirit. I know some churches, when they lose their lecturer, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? So I've been doing this for about 25 years, and I love the chance to serve Spirit. Divine Spirit, like I said, had a very interesting organization today. Ashkin was sick, and I'm sorry she's sick, and I would hope that it would have been a gentler way for me to do the whole service. And Reverend Don Cassidy, same thing. And then Lori had to go out of town, so Ronnie stepped up to play. So it was a very interesting movement of the hand of Spirit to make this happen. It happened here today. The last service of the year. It's like the church has come full circle. and back to its roots, which is very nice. Today I'm going to talk about different principles, wisdom, truth, and hope. I'm going to do a reading out of the Spiritualist Manual on a couple of these things and then speak about it. This reading is on true religion. True religion leads us to live better and truer lives. It makes us observe a stricter honesty in all of our dealings with mankind. It causes us to search our own hearts and make them clean and pure, free from all taint of selfishness, free from everything that can debase. It implants within us principles and motives which help us to withstand the temptations which beset us on the pathway of life. Love and wisdom are the handmaidens of divinity. They give strength and righteousness to character and right direction to action and thought. To know oneself is wisdom, and to judge justly and to think purely and to act charitably are the fruits of true wisdom. Wisdom is one of the principal things. Therefore, get wisdom, for in getting wisdom thou shalt surely get understanding. Happy is the man who getteth wisdom and hath understanding, for he shall stand before the great and mighty and be calm and dauntless. These are writings from people who organized the movement of spiritualism back in the 1800s. And when I read these thoughts, they're very uplifting to me. This came out of the National Spiritualist Manual, which has got a lot of readings in it. It's got services, marriages. It's like the handbook for ministers, and you can buy them fairly easily. But if you get one of these and read it, top to bottom, and understand half of what's in it, your life's going to be a lot better for it. I've been reading it for 25 years and still don't get but about half of it. So it's a living text. What came to mind, besides the upliftment I get from this, is where are all of these kinds of people at now? Where do you see these great orators? Where do you see these great speakers? Back in the 1800s, they used to have posters where spiritualist practitioners would debate with Christian practitioners and open forums, and thousands of people would come to hear this debate. In the 1800s, Congress appropriated $72,000 to study the phenomenon of spiritualism to see how true it was, because it was sweeping the nation at the time in its popularity and its fervor. Today, 20% of the United Kingdom is spiritualist, not metaphysical, but spiritualist. They're very similar, but there are distinct differences in the two. And in America, the interesting thing about spiritualism is it's an indigenous religion to America. It was started in America by Americans. It's the only religion known to have been started here and promoted to other countries. Of course, some people say, well, the Mormons are like that too. And that's true to a certain extent. But I ask myself, where are these great inspirational leaders? Where do they all go to? You know, is there a failing in general of people to step up and be champions of their beliefs? Is there in general people that are too busy with their lives to bother promoting spiritual principles in a forum or an open public, open public forum? And I think that is the challenge for each of us going forward in the new year, is to find that ability to promote what we believe openly and spiritually. I know that a lot of us say that people wouldn't understand. It's too hard to explain it to people what I believe. And all that says to me, when I say that, is I don't understand what I believe myself. Because when I can explain something to somebody, I've already put it to right in my own life, and I believe it fully. I think a lot of what's happened to us in today's life, and I know, again, from my experience of moving in by myself, I don't have cable TV. I spend very little time with electronics because now I cook my own meals, I clean my own house, and I take care of myself, so there's not a lot of spare time. And in the spare time I have, it's really not enough time to watch an entire TV program, so I don't even turn the TV on. It's on antenna too, so the quietness of things is very interesting. And I think that's what happens to me in particular, is I get so caught up in the daily pursuits, the execution of my daily job. I come home and I don't want to do anything. I just want to sit there, tune out, turn on the electronics, and just not think about anything. In actuality, that's the time, either first thing in the morning or last thing in the evening, is the time that you should try to draw God closest. That's when the time for retrospection of your daily life, of what went on in your life, is in the evening, or preparing yourself with your spiritual principles first thing in the morning. And it makes a big difference when you do both of those. And I don't do both of them every day, but I try to do it as often as I can. And every time I do that, it makes a big difference. Stop and be quiet. Stop and think about what went on the day, whether it was significant or not. It was a life. It was a day in your life. It was a day of God's inspiration, if you can look back and see the little things that you were inspired to do. I better take this with me. I better do this today, or there's going to be an issue with it. All of these momentary little inspirations that happen to you throughout the day, those are blessings from God and Spirit. There was a group of religious people, not Mormons, I think it was, I can't remember who it was. My mind's mush nowadays. They had these little books called angel books, and part of their belief was when they were out working in the fields and taking care of it was the Amish, that's who it was. They had these little books called angel books, and every time they felt that an angel spoke to them or inspired them to do something, they wrote down what it was. And they have some of these on display in museums, angel books. And what that does is that reminds them of God's constant communication to them. And they honor that. When they write that down, it's honoring that and thanking God for that. Acknowledging that it came from God when they wrote it in their angel books. And I'm not saying that we should all carry around little books and write in them, but we should, when we get that shot, that unplanned on solution, that bump to take something with us that we hadn't planned on taking with us, just stop for a moment and just say thank you for that. Whether you're thanking your spiritual self or thanking God, you're honoring the intuitive inspiration from the other side when you do that. So take a moment and just say thank you. You don't have to say thank you, God, and fall down on your knees in prayer and do penance, but do take time to acknowledge that higher-minded inspiration that came to you, just in the smallest of ways. Because it's there. God doesn't just help you in the big things in life. You should aspire to spiritual greatness. God is there to help you at all times to do that. You don't have to run a church. You don't have to do mediumship or healing. You can aspire to spiritual greatness in your life and fulfill your promise to God and God's promise to you in one-on-one daily thoughts, daily practices. And I remember somebody said to me, I might have said it last week as part of my thought for the day, it doesn't matter how other people act. You have a responsibility to be a spiritual being all the time. Because somebody's acting out of hand doesn't give you the right to not be a spiritual person. It doesn't give you the buy to stop being who God has inspired you to be. Because a lot of times you're going to find that that's a better solution than the one you put into play when you look back on it. And I'm not saying that we should go out and put ourselves in harm's way and intentionally test whether God's with us or not. Just be aware of it. Be aware of the opportunities that are presented before you. We don't need to go volunteer for some huge rescue effort to another place. There's plenty of things to do right in your own environment every single day. People you can speak to, people you can help, people that you can stop and perhaps just have a kind word for once in a while. You know, people behind you in line that seem distressed. There's just innumerable things. Every time I see somebody begging on a street corner, I give them $1. And at the very least, I give them $1. Because that brings out the charity in me. It's not because I think that they're going to do something good with it, or I don't even care what they're going to do with the money I give them. I am being a spiritual person when I give that, because that's what God's put before me to deal with at that time. That person in that moment. And that's how I deal with my spiritual work, with healing and mediumship. Some people can be very difficult when they come for readings or healings. And that's why they come for readings and healings, because they're having difficulty in their life. It's not because they're enjoying life and coming for a happy experience. They only come to people like me when they're having difficulty in their life. And that's how you see them all the time. Difficulty, depression, physical ailments, been given up all hope by the medical profession when they come to you for healings. Those are the kind of people you deal with. And the only way that you can deal with them is being inspired by God of what to say to them, because you as a human being cannot deal with that tragedy. You as a human being will be overwhelmed by that constant exposure to tragedy and depression. You have to be inspired by God how to work with these people. I myself have difficulty through life. I by no means walk on water or have no problems in my life. But as these things come up, the degree that they affect my life is lessened by my spiritual beliefs. The importance of them, I still deal with them. I still know they have to be dealt with. But it isn't all consuming. It isn't all that I see or feel in my life. I try to feel that love from God at all times, no matter how difficult. And again, you've got that human side of you that is there. And you've got your belief in God here. And the two have to coexist. One cannot override the other. You can't become so heavenly you're no earthly good. And you can't allow the immediacies of today to drive away your spiritual beliefs. They have to coexist equally and in balance. Both are necessary to live this life. So to try to suppress one so the other can ascend is an incorrect philosophy, and unfortunately one that's taught a lot. Suppress the human side and the spiritual side will be all that you feel. Well, that's not the earthly life. The earthly life is one of being a human being. The spiritual discipline is so that you can make sense out of things that don't make sense, so that you can get by things that you don't see the purpose for, knowing that the hand of God is with you every moment of your life, knowing that there is a happiness through what you do for somebody. Even if it's not you at the moment, there is happiness for somebody somewhere by what you do. You may never see the results of your efforts. I remember when I used to do work with an organization that helped people stop drinking. I used to go into prisons and county jails and hospitals, and I even spoke at some of their national conventions on how to stop drinking. And one day this guy comes up to me and he says, "You know, something you said about a year and a half ago really changed my life." I said, "Really, did it?" He said, "Yes." I said, "So you've been sober for a year and a half?" He said, "No, that's not what happened." He said, "About 2 months ago, I remembered something you said a year and a half ago in one of your talks." And I'm sitting there saying, "Well, what was it? I thought it was going to be this, memorable thing that somebody else had written, this memorable quote that I brought out from some ancient text." And he says, "It was a real simple thing that you said, that at the end of recovery, their dry out 28-day detoxes, they give you these things called a big book. And it's like a yearbook. Everybody in the center signs it as you're leaving and puts their phone number down there. So you can call them. And I told him, I said, you know that big book you get at the end of the detox? He said, I said, after about 6 months, call that list of people and see how many of them are still sober. I said, see what this thing does to people, and it will bring you back to square one when you do that. And he said, you said that. And he said, I woke up about 2 months ago after a screaming night's drunk. I saw my big book laying on its side, and I did that. And he said, there were 3 people out of 40 still sober. And he said, I went right back. He said, and I'm back again. So when you say things to people, you have no idea what you're saying, what impresses them, what effect it has on them, or how long it's going to take to have that effect. You are responsible in the moment for what you say when you say it. So respond to those opportunities that God puts before you. Respond in a kind and compassionate sense. Respond in an honest sense. Because what you have is why God put you there in that moment. Who you are is why God put you there in that moment with those people and with that situation. So be yourself. Don't be something else. Don't think you need to be anything else. Be what God has made you to be in that moment. And you will forever change somebody's life. You will reaffirm your own life. And your life will be better for it. Thank you.